so welcome back. It's time for Open Mic. Now, get this. The National Cohesion and Integration Commission of Kenya has now declared that any administrators of any social media platform, the likes of WhatsApp, Facebook, as well as Twitter, will be held liable for any hateful speeches or messages posted on their platform. So, if you're an administrator for WhatsApp, Facebook or Twitter, especially those big chat DM groups, you really want to make sure that you have that put there on hold, because anything that happens on our WhatsApp group that is of negative speech, you will be held liable. And that sort of leads into our conversation for this morning, this evening, which is cyberbullying, something that we've seen creeping a lot here within our Kenyan society, and it's something that we will be discussing about this evening, all right? So joining us from our I&M studio, we have none other than Victor Capio, who is a lawyer. Victor will help us understand the aspects, the legal aspects that you can take when it comes to protecting yourself from online bullying. E.g., if someone was to share any screenshots of your conversation, any audios, remember Maurice, the one that trended, #Maurice? Yes. What are the legal aspects that you can take as a Kenyan behind all of this? So Victor will help us understand that, and he'll be joining us from our I&M studios. Here in Mombasa Road, Aseli, I will let you introduce her because clearly you're a big fan. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, lady in red. She looks beautiful. I got a lift for that. Karibu sana, Kaz.
Thank you.
And then right next to Kaz is Mudhoni. Hivyo ndio umesema tukuite, si ndio?
Mudhoni.
Yeah, he's a student. Nakwambia.
And hopefully, with time, if time does allow, Elodizon, who's running late, will be joining us. And like I told you, she's one of Kenya's biggest YouTubers. And if there's someone who has also faced a lot of cyberbullying, it has to be her. So I really want you to hear from her story. But apart from those, from her, we have two amazing people who have been confident enough to come out today and drive this conversation. So first of all, Kaz and Mudhoni, thank you so much for coming on the show. First of all, let me begin with you, Kaz. You're a media personality. You're gorgeous. You've been singing for quite a long time. You know, we know you. And you are no stranger to online bullying. How do you, as Kaz, curb it? Do you not go online a few times? Do you ignore messages? How does Kaz sort of tackle online bullying? What is the secret, in short?
There's no secret. I guess I've been in the industry for a very long time now, so over the years I've developed thick skin. It still happens. I mean, the worst is behind me, I hope. But it happens constantly. I mean, there's people who are constantly body shaming me. There's people who are constantly just generally shaming me and calling me names online. It's constant. But I can't not be online because being online is part of my job.
Yes.
So most of the time what I have told myself is that the things that people say to me are not important. Now the positive and the negative side of that phrase is the fact that even when people compliment you, then you have to not take it to heart. So when people say wonderful things, you don't believe them, so much so that when people say negative things, you don't believe them either.
It's a matter of protecting yourself.
Exactly, at the end of the day. So the opinions that matter to me are of the people that are closest to me. Everybody else is really just an extra.
Well, then, for you, your story is also a bit different, but you've also faced cyberbullying for your sexual orientation. For you, how do you sort of deal with it? Do you do the same thing that Kaz does, like you try and ignore the messages, or you sort of stay away from social media, say like you don't log in every 3 days? I'm not sure. What's the secret for you? How do you handle it?
I think Kaz said most of it. You just develop a thick skin over time. At first, I started by running away and like actually believing what people are saying. But then I realized that people will literally say anything bad about anyone. And so like when people feel invisible over the internet, they can literally say anything and feel detached from the consequences of their words. So you realize that they're just seeking attention rather than actually knowing anything about you. So over time, actually these days some things even amuse me, like when people try to be hateful.
Just like, really, is that the best you can do?
Yeah, like are you even trying? You know,
building a thick skin.
What has it done to your self-esteem? Like, ndio, hebu tuambieni the primary stages ya venye mlibuliwa kwa nini, maybe kwa social media ama kitu kaa hiyo. What was the immediate reaction? Kwa sababu tulienda kwa street pia tukauliza the same question.
Okay. So personally, I think the first time that it happened at its worst time was maybe about 10 years ago. And that Facebook was just brand new, and people were getting to use email a lot more often.
This is around 2007.
Yeah, it was 2006 actually.
Great.
Yeah. And then, I mean, there was like a massive attack on me, and my initial response was that I went into a really deep and dark depression, which took me a really long time to come out of. And that depression also sort of like manifested into very unhealthy habits that I formed at that time in my life. It was horrible, and I'm grateful that I was able to pull myself out of it. Not very many people are lucky enough to be able to be in that space, or to be in the space that I am in now. I know there's a lot of people who can't get out of that depressive and dark space, and I know that, and we discussed it a little bit earlier, but there's a lot of people who've lost their lives because of depression. And I think it's very important that you guys are doing this, because it's a very important conversation.
Yeah. All right.
I'm sure you understand what that
Definitely.
Yeah, you can relate to what she said, especially when you were being attacked at the very first time. You know, right now, Muthoni has built a tough skin, you know. It's like what Kaz said, is that all you can do? But you were never that strong at first, yeah? Do you remember the very first time that you got attacked for your sexual orientation?
Yes, it was November of 2014.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I remember the date because every year it still haunts me. You see, in November, that's when feminists were marching, the My Dress, My Choice parade.
Yes.
So they were in town protesting, they were wearing whatever they want to protest the fact that there were women who had just been publicly stripped, sexually harassed, and getting away with it. So I couldn't leave the house to join the protest. So what I did was that I was at home, I found a dress to wear, I took a picture, and then I uploaded it on Facebook, said, hashtag My Dress, My Choice. Yes. Yeah.
How did people receive it?
Everyone was saying the exact same thing. WTF. Like everywhere. And like that was the first time that I could ignore.
All right.
It became really bad when it came next year. The next year, someone shared it. You know, Facebook memories, they bite you in the ass.
Oh, those Facebook memories. Okay.
Yeah, so someone shared it, and then my classmates saw it.
All right. And I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have taken the legal aspect. Victor Capillo, who is a lawyer, is joining us from our A&M studios. Victor, thank you so much for making time on this Friday evening. I have to ask you, as Kenyans, what can we do online when it comes to protecting ourselves? Yes, we know the likes of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram actually allow you to report a certain individual online. But apart from that, if your screenshots are shared, if audio is shared, something that is personal to you, what are the legal frameworks that Kenyans might not even know of, but we can take?
Well, thank you very much for hosting me on the show. What I'd like to say first is that it's very important from the very beginning to take immediate action, and that immediate action is basically either blocking the person or reporting the specific user. And once you've done that, then now you can escalate the complaint to the Department of Criminal Investigation. Now, that is a criminal angle, assuming that there is a criminal aspect that has come out through the attack. The other option that's available is actually suing the person in court if that person is known and they can actually be identified. Then you can actually, because you can sue someone using the civil court and actually claim damages for the either breach of privacy and then get payment for damages. So there are actually those two options that you can use. If there's a criminal angle, then you report to the police through the DCI, and if there's a civil angle, then you can actually sue the person for breach of privacy or whichever other tort that is available. So there are actually some options available.
Okay. We're going to come back to Victor just to hear more of that legal aspect of it. But as always, Brian Aseli, you went to the streets.
Nakwambia kila wiki nimeenda mtaani. This week nilikuwa nauliza watu vile what would be the immediate reaction kama wangepatikana kama vitu zao private zimelikiwa. So hebu check street sense vile watu walikuwa nabonga.
of late kumekuwa na hizo expose mingi sana, watu their private information inakuwa leaked, especially on Telegram and Kilimani Moms on Facebook. If for instance my private information was to get leaked, scandalous private information that is, the first thing I'll do would be to avoid social media as much as I can.
If it happens, my nudes leak, I'd not do anything to recollect my image because they are already out there. So I have to learn how to live with, like, they've all seen my nudes. What's next?
First of all, I'd keep quiet and think. Then, basically take it to the cops because I believe there's a lawsuit against it.
First of all, I would be very shocked. Then I think I would just lock myself somewhere so that I cannot interact with people until they forget.
I think he's immature or something, and I'll find a way to sue this man.
I don't know. I think I'd live like kama niko place nimezoea, and if people know it's about me, then I think I would leave that place. I don't think I'd stay.
Ngapo ni all about PR. Nita move in ku shut account yake, nita report account yake kwanza, ni report kani Instagram ishatiwe, alafu hizo circulation za hizo photos zikweka warning zisiendelee, alafu ni release a statement. Unajua hapo ni PR, lazima clear your image kwanza. So as immediate as you can, pia ni poa uambie wasee story ni inaendelea hivi na una clear your image hivi.
Preview my friends, who are my true friends and who I don't trust and who I trust. And plus I'll report the accounts if they like itakuwa post to IG ama Twitter ama wapi. Yeah.
Sasa image yako ikisha ku exposed to internet, it's so hard to clear your name. It's so hard.
Mesikia Msupa amesema venye ni noma sana kuclear image yako sasa ikishaharibika social media. But hapa hivi tunataka kujua exactly what did it do to these people. Depression, umetuambia story ya depression. What do you think people should do ndio waweze kufight story ya depression after such an incident?
Okay, so first let me just start by saying that an incident like being bullied and being cyberbullied or being teased or being picked on is something that can accentuate a depression that you already have. So there's a lot of people who are suffering from depression already. Sometimes we don't even know it until something like this happens, and then it takes you into a deep place that you can't figure out how to get out of. I always say this to people, I suffer depression. I have for a very long time in my life, my whole entire life, and I really believe in therapy.
Yeah.
Therapy is very important, and there's some places in Nairobi where they offer free therapy sessions. There's a place called the Amani Counseling Center. It's on Bagathi Way, and if you go there, then those counselors are able to help you at least in the first stages of trying to deal and talk therapy, being able to deal with your depression.
So it was really important for you to find help and talk to someone that you can trust in order to help you really come through that. And the thing is, I think most young people, when it comes to depression, most young people are very scared to admit it because they feel like it's a weakness, and it's not really a weakness. Mental health is something that everyone goes through at some point in their life. For you, Modoni, can you relate to what Kaz has said when it comes to the issue of depression, especially when it's rooted in cyberbullying?
The hardest thing to build, other than the thick skin, is your self-esteem. And so, like, once people are constantly destroying it, not only like does it prevent you from even getting out of your depression, it sinks you in further. And when you have no support, like, I didn't even know there was free counseling in Nairobi.
Wow.
And I could have used that 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But by some miracle, I'm still here.
And you can still use it.
Yeah, and anyone can still use it. Actually, these things need to be known. Mental health awareness needs to actually take off, because everyone knows the word, but people don't actually understand the nuances of depression, of anxiety, because I still hear a lot of people say that, oh, it's still white man's disease, or it does not exist, or it's an excuse.
Yeah. Did you talk to your parents about it, or about the depression, and also, of course, about the cyberbullying? And for them, what was their reaction?
I didn't. Very many things were happening at my life at that point, and so I literally had almost no one to like express or vent to. So I just kept it to myself. I started skipping school and like going to hide somewhere the whole day.
Yeah.
Because my school was Catholic. You can't can't tell a Catholic school you've been wearing a dress.
Yeah.
I lost all my friends in school, and I couldn't tell my parents because they'd involved the school.
Yeah.
So you feel trapped.
Okay. Victor, who is a lawyer, this new announcement that we are hearing from the NCIC, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission of Kenya, on the issue that administrators of social media accounts, be it WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, will be held liable of any hate speech on the platforms that they regulate. Do you think this is a way forward when it comes to Kenya regulating cyberbullying online? And what more do body structures in Kenya need to do in order to make sure that this doesn't happen?
Well, a number of things. I think it's a step in the right direction, because one of the things that most of the internet users need to know is that the same laws that apply in real space where we are sitting still apply in the online space. So if you commit a crime on the online space, you can still be held accountable for it in the real space. So I think from the first stage that we all have a responsibility to ensure that the spaces where we exist, law and order is observed. And if you are an administrator of a group or a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group, then you have some responsibility to ensure that the law is followed. And it doesn't really matter, which platform. Because if, for example, you're in a chama and people are fighting in the chama and you're the chairperson, you'd naturally take action. So it's the same thing. You'd still report them if they're fighting in the same room. If their fight broke out in the studio right now, somebody would be held accountable. So in the real space and also in the online space, we have to take responsibility for our actions. But it is also important to state that we don't have sufficient laws to deal with online bullying and some of the offenses that are committed online. And one of the things that the government has been trying to do is to enact a new cyber crime law and also a new policy. And as members of the Kenya ICT Action Network, we've been trying to lobby the government to enact these laws as quickly as possible so that there's a mechanism through which these offenses can be investigated and prosecuted and people to be held to account. Because that's the challenge that we have right now, is that the institutions that exist now do not have sufficient capacity to investigate and prosecute online offenses.
Victor, earlier on you mentioned that you can report to police on the issue of cyberbullying, e.g. sharing of screenshots of private conversations or leaked audio. Cyberbullying, especially on the internet, something that is very common amongst young people. However, within your profession, within your field, have you actually seen or heard of any successful cases in Kenya when it comes to tackling cyberbullying?
Like I'd said before, one of the challenges that we have right now is that there is no specific law that outlaws cyberbullying or cyber harassment. So the challenge will be that when you go to report it, the police will be in a difficult position because they cannot find a law to prosecute the person who has actually committed the offense. So that is actually the difficulty that we have right now. Although there are certain incidences which have been there, but the difficulty has been the lack of laws to deal with the offenses. The other thing is that people are also not reporting, because as we've heard even from the other colleagues in the studio, is that when they were attacked, they kept quiet and they kept it to themselves. It is important to remind people who are online users and users of the internet that the first stage that is important is to report. You report to the web administrator, you report to the Facebook admin, you report to whichever platform that you have. You can also report to another, a friend or a counselor or another adult or somebody who you have confidence with, because it is from reporting that it can actually be dealt with. And also some of those measures that you can take is either blocking the person from your account and also taking a screenshot of that attack specifically and saving it to your phone so that it can be used as evidence in case now you go to the police, because sometimes people delete their posts. So it's important to also save it, but don't share it. Don't go to another Facebook group and say, this person attacked me, here is what they said, because that is also distribution, because it's important to also encourage other users that when somebody is being bullied, to recognize that there's a bullying incident that is happening, and not to share or like or continue sharing that post, because it aggravates the incident. Because you see, normal bullying, for example, in school, in the real space, is a very different realm from online, because online it can go viral in the next maybe 5 minutes and it has reached 1 million people.
All right.
So it's important not to share and distribute those attacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also online, we are not forgetting our online community, and tonight we are asking you online, what can be done rather to curb cyberbullying? Is it to regulate the internet, to regulate internet users, avoid retaliation, or simply ignore, report the bully, or you simply do not know? All right, what can be done to curb cyberbullying? Make sure you're tweeting us and being part of this healthy conversation that we're having in studio here tonight. Let me come back to you, to you, Kaz. Are you able to sort of use your influence to talk to young people who are going through cyberbullying or any other form of bullying? Because if there's one thing that we've come to notice as a society, anyone who goes through cyberbullying seems to be really quiet. And a counselor will tell you, look for that one friend, that one family member that you can talk to and you can confide in. For you, do young girls or even young men seem to come and tell you, Kaz, hey, how did you go through this cyberbullying?
Well, actually, I feel like I'm the go-to person for cyberbullying, because every time something happens to somebody, I've had maybe in the last 10 years, I've had maybe about 10 people come to me with their problem and like, okay, so the same thing happened to me, how do I deal with it? And I'm honestly not the expert, just because it happened to me and it continues to happen to me in a larger spectrum than it does to a lot of other people. Yeah. I think people, just because they see me wake up the next day and go about my day, they feel like I have figured out, I have the answer and I know how to deal with it, but I don't. I mean, you were talking about self-esteem earlier, and I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. And yes, cyberbullying does really ruin your self-confidence. And I may sit here looking very confident, and my social media may look very confident, but let me tell you,
it is a struggle.
It is a daily struggle. Yeah. Literally every single day of my life, I have to drag myself out of bed and go on with my day and become this person that people see. So I have become the person for those conversations, and I accept them because I know the hell that I went through and the hell that I sometimes continue to go through in times of being bullied online. But also, I just want to quickly just mention something that the lawyer had said about reporting it.
Yes.
So, yes, it is important to report it, but there are different ways in which people find to attack you. So sometimes it's not necessarily through a WhatsApp group or through a group or a Facebook group. It's not an organization that you can report to like the person who's the administrator.
Yes.
But a lot of the time it's personal attacks. So it's people sending you messages in your DM, and it's people sort of just like, I mean, I recently got like a bunch of people on my Instagram telling me that I needed to lose weight because
Are you serious?
I know. I was just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Surely.
Right?
All right, before we can go to Ad Corner, we're going to come back to this conversation. Mazani, I really want to hear from you quickly. Right now, do you have now a healthy social circle around you that you can confide to?
Yes, I think I have like the healthiest circle ever.
Good for you.
Because these days, someone new just comes to try and talk badly. Like even before I even see it, he's been corrected by 10 people. Checked, like even with facts. This is why you're a cyberbully. Please check your life. Please reevaluate yourself. This is wrong. All that. There's the space in which we create and transfer and distribute knowledge.
Okay, great. Aseli?
Mimi nakwambia.
This is a great conversation.
It's a great conversation. Maana nimekuwa nikiwatch, but ningependa tu kujua kama ili affect your business. Even your career, because yeye alisema ilimu affect Daru. So mimi naweza kujua kama ili affect business yako.
Yes, very much so. I mean, the different aspects of cyberbullying that I have experienced, the most hectic one that happened approximately 10 years ago, that definitely affected my business. It pretty much put all of my work at a standstill, and I probably didn't have work for like another year after that. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it was terrible. It affected every aspect of my life. But at the end of the day, and through the right connections and having the right people in your life and the right networks, it allows for you to sort of get back up and
Great.
Mudhoni, ningependa kujua kaa bado unatumia social media ama kama unaitumia na more confidence compared to venye ulikuwa unaitumia kitambo, ama umeshy away from your opinions just because watu walikubully before?
Actually, I think I've even gotten a stronger hold on my own opinions because like I've risen above and beyond it, and I've created and have that nice circle of support and open-mindedness around me.
Fantastic. Aseli, we need to come back with closing remarks, but before that, at corner. We cannot miss at corner here on the show.
Na pia kila wiki siwe na mdani na sikutana na wasanii. Sikutana na wasanii kila wiki. This week nimekutana na chali mmoja mwenye amedecide mazejo atafanya painting for the rest of his life. Na amedecide ku concentrate on the art of the African woman. Hebu cheki umsi.
Jina langu ni Abraham Ndongo, but I am tani watu nita Ibra, mini artist, any type, painter, graffiti. Mimi nimekuwa artist jo kutoka kitambo, kutoka nizaliwe. Ini kitu nilianza ni inborn. So I've been painting for years, I can say that. Nilianza generally unajua mnaanza munga mkiwa watoi, naanza kuchora stick figures, bado jike unadu. But so the more I progress, unaanza kudu stuff better. So nilianza hivyo, nika meet watu wananifunza, wananiguide. Ikiwa around class 6 nilikuwa naenda go down na hang around na ma artists, na napewa my guidelines ya vitu zenye nafaa kufanya. So naweza sema nimekuwa nikidu hivi kutoka nizaliwe. Idea inakaming time tu yoyote, place yoyote, kitu umeona, kitu unafikiria. Idea tu ni unaweza amka morning, ulikuwa na view kitu kwa kichwa yako, na visualize. Unaenda unapata na watu tawa kitembea, kitu imeinspire hiyo piece iko huko nyuma. Mostly ni African beauty. Mi chora portraits. Mi deal na showcase that there is more to Africa than Kenya imeportraywa huko nje. Some of the challenges ni ka artistic block. Artistic block basically ni time when you artist na hakuna kitu umeshindwa kudu kitu yoyote ku-create. I think hiyo ndo the major challenge yenye si artist ukuwa nayo. Because una find at times you have a basic idea, but to put it down it's just so hard. It's super a major challenge. So there's times I think the normal challenge, money, hizo funds, hizo ndo zinaweza leta into this small other stuff like kununua paint, ku afford canvas, ku afford stretchers, hizo stuff zingine. Like people around me are starting to appreciate the art a little more than it was. Nikianza ilikuwa watu wanashindwa, huyu anafanya nini? What are you doing with your life? But now, like my mom is my biggest supporter right now. My mom and actually I can go and discuss something with my mom and tell her I have this idea imestick kwa kichwa yangu. Aniambia enda ufanye tuone vile itatoka. Then I go do it, I show it to her, she appreciates it. So watu wenye wako around me basically wananipea support, wananipa ile push ya kuendelea.
Umecheki kila wiki si ufeature msanii artist. Kama unataka ku get in touch with us at Brian_Aseli at Zinzi_Kibiku, jua tu siku moja utakuwa featured kwa hiyo arts corner. Yeah.
So let us head over to social media and see what people are saying. Remember, we're asking you tonight, what can be done to curb cyberbullying, all right? Is it to regulate internet users, avoid retaliation, simply ignoring them, report the bully, or simply, I do not know? All right, so regulate internet users, avoid retaliation, report the bully, or I don't know. So let me begin with Mark. Mark, you say Cyberbullies should be reported and legal action taken against them. Lillian, you say people's opinion are not written on our faces, so just pick up the pieces and move on. I love that one. I really love that one. Okay. You also say ignorance can never change what people think. It is a matter of believing in yourself. Okay, so we're getting great feedback. There's one more here that I'll also read. It says, I think it's safe to regulate, but we do not have the capacity or the expertise, all right? And it's something that even Victor the lawyer has also echoed, that Kenya really needs to set up a few laws in place when it comes to regulating bullying, especially cyberbullying online. All right, Victor, I really want to hear your closing remarks in regards to cyberbullying. What's your take home?
I think it's important to mention that it's good that there's solidarity amongst the people who've been harassed and they're speaking out. I think that's a good thing. We must speak out. We must stand up and against bullying and all forms of it. The other thing is that we must block off the negative energy, use the channels that you have, because self-protection is important. So if there's somebody who's bullying, use the tools within the social media networks, block and report. The other thing that is important to actually do is to also get support and check your privacy settings. If you're on Facebook or Twitter, or Instagram, you can always change your privacy so that you don't have everybody viewing your stuff. And also for the general community, when they see these incidences, if you are a potential bully, don't say something to someone that you can't say in front of them in their face, or you can't say in front of your mother when that person is there. Okay. So it's important to also try and work, and for schools also to start working with the kids and listening to them, to ensure that at least there are no incidences against or on bullying. And if you're a parent, make sure that you know what your kid is doing with their device, and also check the parental control guidelines, because the first important thing that we need to do is to protect ourselves first, and that means knowing what we are doing online and ensuring that we also don't share too much or control who sees our stuff. Yeah.
Ningependa kuuliza swali yangu. Unafikiria kama the police think that hizi cases za cyberbullying are serious cases kazi zile zingine?
I think wanafikiria ni serious kwa sababu kuna zingine zenye unapata zina translate, ulikuwa bullied online alafu watu bado wakakufuata wakaendelea kukubully, and sometimes unapata mtu amepigwa. So depending on the specific facts of the case, kuna zile ambazo zinachukuliwa serious, alafu kuna zile pia wanakuambia labda you can go for counseling or things like that, na pia kuna zingine zenye bado wanashindwa ku resolve. So depending on how the issues come up, but saizi they are starting to pick up to see that it's actually an important area that needs consideration. Ndio sababu hata saizi laws zinakuwa reviewed ndio waweze kudeal na hao watu.
Asante sana kwa kuchangia kwa hii topic yetu ya leo. Zinzi,
I really want to hear Modhoni's and Kaz's last remarks. If someone is watching at home, what would you tell them? Modhoni, go ahead.
The most important way to prevent cyberbullying, don't cyberbully.
Don't.
Just don't. Like, let's stop focusing on the victim, and let's actually look at the perpetrators. Like, don't.
Negativity. Block it.
Yeah, like those nasty opinions, keep them in your head.
If you don't have anything,
throw them in a dustbin, because other people don't want to hear them.
I like that. All right. Kaz, for you.
I agree. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. Also, Victor, yes?
Yes.
Made a lot of valid points, which I agree with. He pretty much wrapped everything up. I just want to quickly say, this millennial generation, we spend so much time on our phones, and we spend so much time on social media, and that kind of bullying has taken over what we used to spend so much time in the playground and used to get bullied. So the thing is, it's going to happen. There are people who are not going to listen to if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. But the thing is, at the end of the day, don't pay mind to people who are not feeding you. They're not putting clothes on your body, and they're not putting shelter over your head. They're not paying for your education. Those people don't matter. Like, it's so important for you to realize that the opinions of the people who matter are the opinions of the people that are around you, the people who love you, and the people who are your friends. And their opinions, they're giving you their opinions because they only want the better for you.
All right.
So that's the only thing that you need to focus on. Everything else is just BS.
It's just a lot of noise.
Yes.
It's just a lot of
I think
noise.
we should write this on every social media page before you sign up. What she just said, just write it there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, you guys, thank you so much. All right,
Thank
Modoni
you.
and Kaz, thank you so much
you
for
guys
coming.
are doing a really, really good job.
Thank you very much. This
Millennium.
platform right here is for young people to talk
Yeah.
about issues that really affect them, all right?
Yeah.
And the fact that we have young people seated on this panel to do so, you guys were amazing and you were
Thanks
driving
for
the
calling me
conversation.
young.
All right,
Thanks
so
for
thank you
having
so
us.
much. Kaz, Modoni, as well as Victor, really helping us understand the legal aspect of this. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
This has been yet another Friday here on Youth Cafe. It's been amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in at home and allowing this show to be what it is. And really, this platform is indeed for young people, all right? This is where we come to discuss issues that really impact us. It's not the show here in Kenya or within East Africa that has this sort of impact. So we say thank you. Do have yourselves a lovely weekend. My name is Zinzi Kibiku.
And the hottest man in East and Central Africa, Brian Asili, nakwambia nimekuambia change haifanyikagi Friday peke yake. Hiyo story mnachukua time kwenda kurave, chukueni hiyo time twendeni social media. Nataka munibuli mimi individually. Munibuli mniambie let there be peace in Kenya. Post photos of our country. Let there be peace. Alafu tuone vile hii country itakuwa. But for now, tukutane next week.